Ready to hit the pause button on your parenting fails? Ready to feel better about your parenting? Welcome to Parenting Pause, the podcast, where all of you is welcome. I'm Leslie Potter, the founder of the Pure Joy Way, a mother, a parent coach, and a fellow traveler on this journey to wake up in our parenting. And I believe together we can make this a better world for ourselves and our kiddos. This week, let's talk about needs. Those pesky little things that we all have, right? That maybe we learned when we were young to try to withhold and put down. Because some of us, and this might be you, it might not, but some of us were trained that needs were bad, that it was much better to act self-reliant and independent and a little bit older than we actually were. And if you were trained in a home like this, if that was your family's high values, then you may have tried to quell your needs or to keep those down, not to ask the other to take care of you. You began to take care of yourself. Now, that's just a strategy that most likely you were trained to do. It didn't mean that your needs went anywhere. It's that they went kind of underground. But then those needs began to come out in very, very strange ways, especially in your parenting. Now, I'm one of those people. I was raised to be self-reliant and independent. So, of course, my daughter, when she would express her neediness, because she was very young when I adopted her, and of course, she was extremely needy. At first, it felt so good to meet those needs because I had projected all of my neediness onto her, and then I could just meet those needs and have her be the one that had all the neediness. And then at some point, it literally began to bug me really bad, especially when she would whine. She would hang on to my leg. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't move 2 feet away from her. And I began to start feeling this deep irritation inside. And I wanted to push her away. It was like she was the location of the neediness. I thought I had filled that container plenty. And it's when it kept wanting more and more and more because I wasn't able to own my own neediness, I began to push her away and feel some disgust even around her neediness. Now, this was really, really scary for me because I never wanted to feel that in relation to my daughter. And if you feel that, if you're judging your child's neediness or they're whiny or you feel like you just want to get them off of you because they're all over your body and your being, you may feel some of that disgust that I felt. And it is not a fun feeling to feel, especially in relation to your beautiful child. And yet, it is an honest feeling. And it usually has to do with your own disgust around your neediness, especially if you were really raised to be more self-reliant and high value that. So, what we do in Pure Joy, which is really hard to do if you're a self-reliant being, is to turn back in and bring the location out of the external, out of your children, to begin to feel your own neediness in the deepest, deepest innocence and vulnerability. Now, the way I was able to do that was recognizing how much I wanted to give to my daughter when she first came because I had projected, that she was the needy, helpless one. And I so wanted to give her everything that I hadn't gotten. But what began to happen was I began to engulf her with that energy. I always needed her to be the one that carried it. And so, of course, at some point, I needed to bring that back in. So I began to get disgusted, as I said, and I wanted to push that neediness away, which meant I began to train her to be self-reliant and independent. Now, this was when I started to recognize that, oh, this really has to do with my neediness, Not fun for all you folks out there that are self-reliant and independent, because you get a lot of strokes for that in the world and in the family. And yet, that was my tender, tender vulnerability that I was willing to come back for. Still not easy to this day. I would much rather be self reliant and independent. And yet, I recognize now that my needs matter. My needs are as important as my daughter's, because when I always made them hers, I began to feel resentful that she was demanding, she was entitled, all of these things I was projecting onto her. And yet, when I brought that energy back inside, that was my fear, that I was going to be demanding and I was going to be seen as entitled. And the truth is that I had needs like everybody else in my family, and mine were as important as everyone else's, and so are yours. Thank you for listening to this episode of Parenting Paused. If you enjoyed the episode, do me a favor and share it with your mama friends. You can also leave a review wherever you listen, which will support getting the Pure Joy message out. Come on over to the Pure Joy Parenting Practice Facebook page or join me on Instagram to hear more. And don't forget to download your free copy of the Safe Seat course on the Pure Joy website. And while there, check out the offerings page to go deeper in the Pure Joy work.